so they'll be able to look back on it. And if there's anyone that you know, friends or family that said they wanted to hear about this, please do share it with them, because I think it's useful. It's useful for people to watch the recording before they go about applying, because hopefully there'll be some good questions that will tease out anything anyone was worried about. So first of all, let's start off with who Serve are. We're an overseas development and volunteering organisation. We were established in 2003, and we're based in Cork. We're based in Cork City in Blackrock, just directly opposite Blackrock Castle. A lovely place, just a few kilometres from the city, near the marina. And but the great thing is we're actually an all-Ireland organisation. We have a presence all across the country. And until a few years ago, we had offices in Belfast and Galway. We had a presence in Dublin as well. So historically, our support network has come from all over the country. And I think hopefully that'll be reflected in the people that will actually get involved in this programme as well. The people will be coming from different places, even though there might be a bit of Cork dominance. As a Dublin person living in Cork, I have to struggle with that every day. But I'm slowly getting used to it, and maybe I'll be accepted someday. So how we operate and serve is, we came about basically a group of volunteers in 2003 went to the Philippines for 10 weeks, and they had a great experience. They learned a lot, and they were able to actually transfer their skills very effectively. So they came back to Ireland and they said, God, more people should have an opportunity to do this, to travel overseas, to volunteer, see another bit of the world, and support really high quality projects. So that's where Serve came from. By 2005, we'd sent about 60 volunteers overseas to the Philippines, Thailand, India, South Africa, Brazil. So we were all over the place sending volunteers overseas. And then at the same time, we said, you know, how can we, as an organisation in Ireland, with access to these volunteers, support really good projects by actually securing funding? So part of that was our volunteers going out and fundraising, but another part then was we started to get support from donors such as the Irish government through Irish Aid, and they started supporting development projects with a strong focus on young people and technical skills training, particularly in Southern Africa. And to this day, that's our focus in terms of the development side, is supporting technical skills training for young people in Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and then Zambia to a lesser extent as well. But we continue to work with partners in the Philippines, Vietnam, India, and then all across Southern Africa as well. In the midst of all that, though, there's always been this other thing, which we call global citizenship. And that's the idea that, you know, we live in an interconnected world, and our actions here in Ireland can actually make a difference. But I suppose, you know, historically over the last 18 years, we haven't been able to give it enough attention that we wanted to. And our global citizenship was our volunteers going overseas and then trying to make a change locally in their community when they came back. Now, because of COVID, we haven't sent volunteers for the last 2 years. And I suppose we don't know what things are going to be like going forward. So now we're looking at new ways of actually promoting global citizenship, where, you know, where we want to support people to learn about, you know, big major global issues in Ireland, and then we want to support them to take action, whether that's volunteering in your local community and virtually supporting our overseas partners by doing some stuff online, or actually trying to organize some ways that you can actually take action to support your local community. So there's a lot of different stuff going on, and I suppose in Serve where there's a lot of things changing, and I suppose this program, this Think Global Act Local, is a big part of that change, and hopefully some of you guys will be willing to join us on that journey. It's new, it's exciting, and it's something we haven't tried before, and we're looking forward to seeing it all come together. I suppose I'll just kind of, to wrap up the intro to Serve, there's a great quote from the anthropologist Margaret Mead, and that's, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." And that kind of sums up the history of Serve so far. It's a small group of people, not just in Ireland, but all across the world, saying, how can we work together to bring about positive change? And like that positive change can be, you know, a big development project about technical skills, or it can be linking people in Ireland and the Philippines together and sharing their experiences, or it can be people in Ireland, like this program, learning more about global issues and then being supported to take action locally. So there's a whole range of things that can mean, and I think that sums up the Serve journey so far, and we hope it will continue to. So our vision at Serve is that everyone has an opportunity to realize their potential and make a meaningful contribution to society. And how that vision informs our values is the following. It's a commitment to volunteering, which I touched on already. This commitment to global citizenship, particularly the education side of global citizenship, but also the support to take action. And then finally, there's this idea of solidarity. So solidarity is I suppose, the core value we're committed to, and that's the idea that by working together in partnership with individual volunteers, with communities, and with organisations, both in Ireland and overseas, that we can find meaningful long-term solutions to issues of particularly injustice, inequality, and extreme poverty. So serve when when there's a project, say in Mozambique, we don't run the project. It's our local partner runs the project, and then we say, as a organisation in Ireland and as volunteers in Ireland, how can we support the projects to reach its maximum potential? And now we're in a new phase of this, saying how can we use the voluntary sector to support initiatives virtually in whether it's Vietnam or Mozambique or Zambia, or how can we use the voluntary sector to support initiatives actually happening in Ireland? And I suppose it's a bit of a change to how we've done things before, but it's staying true to our values. So I'll move on to the next slide, if I could. I don't seem to be able to. Hold on 1 second. Typical technical problems. And we'll put that up again. And we will. So I think I've touched on this already, why this program, why we're doing this new initiative we're calling Think Global, Act Local. And it's because for the last 2 years, 2020, 2021, we haven't been able to send volunteers overseas. And that's left a hole. That's left us realizing how important the learning is, how important the engaging with people in Ireland is. Like every year we might have 60 volunteers coming to training days in Ireland, interacting with them, hearing about their experiences, hearing about what's going on in their life, and then seeing how we can use that to affect global change. And we've really missed that. And even though we're in a virtual space, we're trying to get a lot of that back, and I think we will be able to. The other great thing as well is that hopefully with this program we can reach some of you who've never heard of SERF before, never would have thought about volunteering overseas, but you might actually be very up for this program. And I hope maybe there's some of you out there that are thinking that, and we'd absolutely love to have you. And I suppose the final bit is, this has come about through conversations with our existing volunteers, our volunteer alumni network. And I know there's some people in the chat, in the call here today, who volunteered with us before, or who've been involved with us in some way before. And it's all been about through those conversations. And this project was put together by a steering committee of different volunteers who've been away with us. And I know some of them are here, and I might call on them later to say a few words. So I've said a lot of general stuff. Touched on a few notes, and hopefully that gives you an idea about what SERV are and what we're trying to do. And now I'm going to get into the program. So I might just quickly go through the basics of the program, and then we'll say, if you have any questions, throw them into the chat or put on your mic, and then we'll take it from there. Because I think really the questions that are the most important part of this presentation, what I say, it's all on the website, and I can only say so much. So really, don't be shy about asking questions. If you don't want to ask them here today, you can send us an email afterwards. You can email info@serv.ie, and all the information is there. So the program really includes 3 parts. So that is what we're calling global citizenship, education, and personal development modules. So secondly, then in-person and virtual volunteering opportunities. And then finally, that throughout that you would receive mentoring and support from experienced global justice advocates. So what this means is global citizenship education is workshops, seminars, guest speakers, challenges that support you to learn more about global issues, particularly about the various areas that are being addressed by the Sustainable Development Goals. So some of the areas we're particularly going to look at is stuff around inequality, gender equality, poverty, responsible consumption, and then some stuff around attitudes and languages. As well as that, we're going to have a big emphasis on personal development. So the idea is you're not just coming to learn, you're actually being supported to develop your own personal skills, particularly your skills as someone that is going to volunteer and take action in their community as a, I suppose, a global citizen. So there's some really strong modules there that support you on your kind of learning journey from a personal development point of view. Secondly, then, I've touched on it already, is opportunities for both in-person and virtual volunteering, but I will come back to that in a few minutes. And then finally, throughout our commitment is that we're going to have what we're calling experienced global justice advocates. These are people who've been away with SERV and who've continued to stay involved with global justice issues, with SERV and beyond, trying to see, how can they channel their experience to make a positive change in the world. And they're going to be on hand to support you. They're going to be delivering some of the workshops, but they're also going to be, available for kind of small group sessions, one-to-one sessions, and always giving you new ideas about how you can learn more and how you can take better and more effective action. So the basics of it is there's what we're calling global forums in April, May, and June. Your volunteering aspect, more or less from July to September. A reflection day, again, where everyone comes back together in August, and then a next step day in October. So, I mean, I think we said on the website, that particularly the global forums in April and May would certainly be online, and then we're going to review it because we just don't know how things are going to be. But we would like to get everyone together in person, but if that doesn't work, so be it. We've it perfectly set out that we can do it all online, but hopefully, later on in the year it'll be possible to even get a few people together outdoors or whatever it is. But we won't tempt fate. We've had enough, gotten so close to being able to do things in person before, and it just hasn't happened. And we'd never do something that wasn't right or wasn't the best course of action. So we're always very cautious about anything like that. But we'll just see how it goes, play it by ear. So like I said, global forums in April, May, and June. Volunteering global citizenship action from July to September, a reflection day in August, and a next step day in October. So those last 2 days are really to kind of reflect on what you've learned so far, reflect on the action you've taken, and then starting to look at how you can continue this journey after the kind of formal program has ended. And between them, there'd be additional learning materials to look at. Again, nothing too laborious. We've kind of a list of podcasts and videos and articles put together. Most of it is stuff that's already out there that you might already have read yourself. There's a few stuff specifically from service partners, but it'll all be enjoyable. It'll be a nice change of pace, and it'll really be up to you to choose which ones you want to look at. There'll be some challenges to complete. So these are, I suppose, micro challenges that you'd complete by yourself or with a small group in your community. And then again, throughout, your mentor is going to be there to support you. I suppose just to wrap up the basics, the key part to say is everything I've laid out to you, it's adaptable, we're flexible. Really, this is a program where we as SERV want to get certain things out of it, but more importantly, we want you to get something out of it. And if there's something here that sounds like, well, I'm interested in that, but maybe it could be done a little differently, we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear your input. This is the first year doing it. It's something new for SERV. We're very excited about it, but we're absolutely willing to make changes if that's what the majority want. We had a meeting last night with some members of our steering committee, and I think it was about 2 hours long, the meeting, and it was great because we were still going through different ideas, how we could do things a bit differently, and we were absolutely delighted with like the kind of passion and energy. So we made loads of changes. So if changes need to be made, so be it. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you think about it. And at every stage, at every learning day, and every small session, we'll be getting your feedback, trying to see how we can tweak things and make them a bit better. So that's really the main bits. There's kind of descriptions of what Global Forum is, what the volunteering is. But I don't know if you've maybe seen something so far that you're like, oh, what's that? I'd like to learn a bit more. Please do throw a question in the chat. I don't know if there's any questions so far. I'll have a look there now. There's no questions so far, but if anyone has a question, put it in the chat or stick on your mic and say it. Okay. Have we? Okay.
So there's a question in, did you see, Fikra? What sort of things are the micro challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for that question. So that is a great question, and there's a few different parts to it. So hold on, my screen has frozen again. I'm not just waffling, I swear. So here we go again. We're back. So I think I can take you to it. I can't take you to it, in fact. So yeah, so the challenges are, sorry about this, around technical difficulties.
An example of the challenges
for,
just an example of challenges just on the module that I've been involved in creating is, so if we're discussing responsible consumerism, micro challenges might be on learning how to sew so that you could reuse clothing, learning how to plant your own food at home, learning new ways to create things and make things out of things that you were just going to throw away. And then there could also be food challenges that you might be that you might want to do as well. So like if you wanted to eat food that was only grown in Ireland for a whole month, for example, or even 2 weeks, that would be kind of a challenge you could do. So, and then there's also like podcasts, reading material, movies that you can watch that are all recommended by us as well, that we've put a resource book together for it.
Nice. Yeah, and I suppose just to say that I think that part of the program, when you're reading about it on the website, might sound like the most intimidating, that there's going to be this huge mountain of work to do. We absolutely don't see it that way. We want it to be, fun and enjoyable, and there'd never be too much to do. And if you can't do something at the end of the day, it's voluntary. You're here of your own free will, choosing to do this program. So if you can't do something, that's no problem at all. So yeah, like Paula said, those sort of challenges. But just one of the modules I was working on was the inequality module, and there's two options for that. And one is you basically go out and walk around your 5K, around your community. Maybe we can go more than 5K by the time we get to the challenge. And it would be to look out for examples of inequality in your local community. What's an inequality that I see? What's something that makes me angry and frustrated? What's being done about it? And then how can I either take action to address that inequality, or what actions are already being taken? So that's kind of just a very practical way of getting out, looking, seeing what the challenges are and thinking about it. And then another completely different challenge on the inequality side is something a bit more research-based, where you're doing a bit of research into service partners. So for example, we said the Badjo tribe in the Philippines, who are a minority group that I suppose experienced a lot of discrimination, and to look into, do a bit of research into that. Again, very basic research. We're not expecting a huge amount, but it could be very interesting, where you'd learn about the challenges they face, and then how maybe Serve are responding to those challenges, but also then how the Irish government are, or the Philippine government are. So there's a load there. But I suppose the key thing to go back to from my presentation is we're very adaptable. If those challenges sound like, oh, that's too much work, or I'm not interested in that, we can always create a new challenge. We can work together, we can sit down, we can knock our heads together, and we'll always give you a few options. I think Paula kind of laid out a few there. There's nearly 3 or 4 options for every challenge. It's about it being fun, about it being enjoyable. So is there any other questions? Or I hope that that answers it anyway in some way. Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like there's something for everyone, in the sense that if you are a person that likes to read, there'll be lots of reading material. If you don't really like reading but you love to listen, there'll be podcasts and video recordings and things like that as well. So there's the program's designed to suit a lot of different personalities and different the way people like to learn is very differently. So we're trying to accommodate all those different angles. So yeah.
Seeing your question there, Olivia. No, it wouldn't even be that much. So between each session, so for example, the first global session is the 10th of April, and the next one is the 29th of May. So really there'd be a kind of one big challenge to complete in that period. So that's 3 or 4 weeks. And then some of them are actually going to be more spread out, that you get the challenge on the 10th of April, but it won't have to be done until the reflection section in August. So we'd spread them out a bit. And again, I think this is something we'll we'll probably work out with the group once we're all in place. And just because we were kind of saying this yesterday, that some people have a very busy time in work in May, or they might have exams in May, or they might be on holidays in July. So I think we can work with you every step of the way, rather than trying to be too prescriptive about it, Okay. Is there any other questions, or will I go back to the last couple of slides? Yeah. Okay.
Feel free to throw them in the chat in the meantime. We can.
Okay. So, current slide. So I mentioned the global forum. So that's the everyone get together, basically on a Zoom call, more than likely. Maybe the later ones could be in person, but we're not going to tempt fate. And that's really an interactive session. We're saying about 3 hours, exploring global issues and then engaging with like-minded people from across Ireland. So there'd be workshops, there'd be presentations, there'd be guest speakers, there'd be a lot of breakout rooms, a lot of using different tools like Google Jamboard or Menti or WordCloud. So you're not just sitting there listening to someone. There's very little of that. It's nearly all group work in one way or another. So it's very interactive. It's hopefully, because I've been in a few lecturing style things recently, and like, if you're sitting listening to someone on Zoom for 2 hours, it's an absolute struggle. So there'll be none of that really, and we'll stay away from that. And if there is, the closest we'd get to that is a really inspiring, engaging guest speaker. So that wouldn't be an issue then. The kind of topics, I touched on before, most of them link into the Sustainable Development Goals. So zero poverty is SDG 1, gender equality is SDG 5, responsible consumption is SDG 12. So there's a few there that are all linking into different SDGs. And then as well, that whole area around personal development, so that it's not just learning, but it's also actually trying to build your skills, build your capacity to engage with issues, but also the practical side of taking action and looking at your values as an individual, what's important to you. Volunteering opportunities then, so that's something we haven't talked about much. So there's the learning development side from April to June, with a bit of reflection in August and another day in October, but then there's the volunteering aspect. So that's really, we're saying, from July to September. So there's a 3-month period, and again, we're not asking for a huge commitment. We're saying about a minimum of 8 hours total. That's over 3 months. You can do a lot more than that if you want. But I suppose that's really just the minimum that we need you to do to get something out of it. So what we're not going to do is, we're not going to say what project you want to do. Instead, throughout the process, we're going to help you figure out what you'd actually be best placed to do. There's some options that we're saying we'd be able to offer from Serve. So we're looking at a community garden project in Cork. We're looking at the opportunity to teach English virtually with students in Vietnam. And then another thing about kind of research, more research stuff, looking at overseas development topics for our partners, particularly in Southern Africa. But it's not limited to that. So if you're already involved in a voluntary group, you're already volunteering in some way, that can actually be your volunteering. And what this program would be doing then is just helping you be a more effective volunteer, and maybe bring a stronger global focus to it. The other side then is, as well as volunteering, you can do something that's more of what we're calling a global citizenship action. It's still volunteering in a way, but it's more focused on you taking action around global issues. So if you had an idea that you wanted to develop, or you wanted to join an existing campaign or initiative, or there was a particular issue you were passionate about and wanted to raise awareness about, that you do that. Key to all this is that your mentors, which I kind of forgot to say, are supporting it. So it's not just that we're throwing you out there and saying volunteer or do a global citizenship action. It's actually that there's a mentor there supporting you to develop your global citizenship action, or to be the most effective volunteer that you can be. And if you had an idea that you wanted to develop that Serve could help you out with, again, us and the mentor would help you with that as well. So that's kind of the run through on that. And it probably sounds a bit vague and maybe a bit complicated, but it really isn't. it's saying, you know, we've 3 months from July to September. Let's see what we can do. And you know, your volunteering, your global citizenship action could just be working on developing the idea over those 3 months. So it's not that we're expecting a final finished polished product. We're more interested in the, I suppose, the process of what you've committed to do and how we then as Serve can support you. So yeah, and then just finally the dates to remember are today, 3rd of March, great day. Applications have opened. I think Paula just sent a link into the chat there. So please do apply if you're up for it. We're going to keep applications open until about the 25th of March, but I would say apply sooner rather than later because we're expecting the place to fill up. We're not trying to recruit huge numbers because we want to work quite a small group. So please do get your application in. The application process isn't that complicated. It's really just providing a bit of information about yourself and what your kind of work background is or your education background, because that helps us sort of see how the group fits together, and then giving us a bit of information about why you want to be involved in this program and what you're passionate about. Finally, then the global forum dates, those kind of 3-hour sessions, we're thinking they'd run from about 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're all Saturdays. And the 10th of April, which is just after Easter, the 29th of May, and then the 19th of June. So they're kind of key dates to remember. Other than that, we said about having a session in August, which is a reflection session. But we'll get to the date closer to time because you know how things are. It's hard to plan that far in advance. And then finally October as well, that we'd have another day then. So that's kind of the run through. So I know we have 2 of our kind of steering committee participants here. I don't know if you want to just say a few words maybe about the idea and I suppose what you're hoping the program would look like. So Rory, I think if you want to go ahead first.
Oh yeah. So my name is Rory. I've been involved with Serve now for a couple of years, and I've been away to a few of our partners. And I'm developing one of the modules on this. My pitch to be, if you were thinking about being involved, would be if you're the last year with everything that's happened with with COVID and BLM movement and all other issues, that you want to learn a bit more about where you fit in the whole world and how you can be a more impactful ally to marginalized groups and how you can make a greater difference to your local community and to the wider community. I think this is a really good course to try and help you with that. I think as well as Faker kind of said, it is quite informal. It's not going to be too heavy. It's about trying to stir ideas in you that we all have about how we can make our communities a more inclusive place, and trying to inspire you to help and then help you on the way with that. So yeah, if that sounds good to you, then I would definitely apply.
Thank you very much, Rory. And then Nolig, I don't know if you want to say anything.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Nolig. I've been involved with Serve since 2018. Like Rory, I've been away to a few different places. I think that this whole project is a great way to kind of be able to discuss and learn more about various different aspects of global citizenship and personal development, like all the things that you could avail of if you were on one of the volunteer experiences that Serve offer. And yet also it's a great way to try and become more involved even if we are still stuck indoors and stuff. It's a great way to open new doors, new opportunities, maybe new areas of personal interest for you guys.
Thank you, Nolik. Paul, I don't know, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I never actually introduced myself. Paula is my name. I've been involved with Serve since 2009, so a long time now. So this is very new, as Fiachra said. We've been sending volunteers away since 2003. So this year we're it's all going really virtual, and hopefully towards the end of the year we could actually meet in person and have the reflection day and the next step weekend together. But yeah, this program, we're very excited to be facilitating it, full stop. So I really hope that that you're interested, and I'm really looking forward to the discussions that we could be having, and just talking out different ways that we can make the world a better place, even at home here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, does anyone have any other questions at all, or concerns, or want to know more about what it might look like or anything like that? Or... Okay, that's great. So like I said, the applications are open. If you want to learn more, there's a good amount on the Serve website, serve.ie, and then I think it's just /Think Global Act Local, or you'll see it there on the homepage. Other than that, you can send an email to, I think, info@serve.ie is the best to contact, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, look at, I hope that gave you a bit of an introduction to who we are. Please do check out our website and check out our social media. This, like we said, it's kind of a new thing to Serve this program, but we're bringing 18 years of knowledge of working with volunteers. We're bringing 18 years of knowledge of delivering education programs, delivering, learning about global issues, development education. But we're kind of doing it in a new setting, a new approach with a stronger focus on Ireland, I suppose. And I know there's people here coming from all sorts of backgrounds and have all sorts of experience, and I think that's great. Like, so the real benefit of this is hopefully we can reach people from all across Ireland who have so many different experiences that it'll actually make a really exciting group who can really bounce ideas off each other and try and find the best solutions, really, for want of a better word. And to go back to that quote from Margaret Mead, a small group of people coming together, that's the only way we've made a difference. So there's a question there: are there any limitations to local action? I'm not sure I fully understand in terms of what to highlight.
Hi, sorry, I can better explain in person, to be honest, because it's only just a thought came to my head. For example, if you had an action that may concern maybe local politicians or anything like that, to try to assert action within the community. Like, is it you want to start small and kind of work on things small, but if one thing kind of became bigger as you went on, what would be the limitations? Would there be kind of things that you wouldn't really consider, like the Think Global Act Local move, or would it be too political, or what is there limitations? Is there like a line or whatever for what you want to do? Sorry, I can't explain myself very well.
That's a very good question. I suppose it's one of those things where, at some stage an idea would probably outgrow the program, and I suppose it might come. I suppose the next step day that we hold in October is really about going off on your own and running with your ideas. I suppose if it got to be too big or too political, to use that word, it mightn't necessarily be under the Serve banner, but we'd still support it in whatever way we could. But I suppose we'd probably cross that bridge when we get to it. But I suppose we'd see this as like the stepping stone to going off and doing your own thing, really. And then if Serve can support it, they can support it. If they can't, they can't. But it's really that day in October would be key to kind of going off and saying, we've brought you this far. Feel free to spread your wings, for want of a better word. I hope that kind of answers your question. Although it might be a bit vague at the stage.
It does, yeah. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Have we any other questions? No. Okay, so the Serve website, all the information is there. So in terms of the process, you fill out an application form, very short, won't take you any time at all. After that, you'll get a call, probably from myself, and we'll just have a quick chat. It'll only take 5 or 10 minutes, just to see where you're at, what your interests are, and how everything will fit together. And then once there's a kind of an offer of a place, we would ask for there's a €25 registration fee. So I'm just seeing the question there. So you can actually pay via the Serve website. So we'd send you a link to pay. It's an online one that you'd pay with your credit or debit card, or if you want, you can do a bank transfer then either. So we'll find a way to take your money, no matter what. But yeah. So thank you very much. And yeah, if you have any questions at all, please do get on to us.
Great. Thank you very much for attending, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah.